Hi, my fellow Broke Aristocrats. It is wonderful to see you here. And let me take off my glasses. They're creating a shine. Anyway, I've been very, very busy, and now I would like to talk to you about it. So I am doing a plant-based cleanse. And I thought that I would go ahead and talk a little bit about it for those of you who are fellow Broke Aristocrats, people who are living frugally and simply, but you care about your health. You also care about your paycheck, care about your money. What can you do in order to maximize your health, maximize your nutrition as cheaply as possible? And one of the things that I've talked about in the past on this channel is just the power of calorie restriction. So even if you were to change absolutely nothing and wanted to improve your health and continue to, eat your favorite junk food or whatever, if you reduced your caloric intake, you would see dramatic improvement. This is one of the reasons why in intermittent fasting, people will say complete their last meal at 4 p.m. or 6 p.m., depending upon what your schedule is like. You have to kind of work it out. A couple hours before bed, then you sleep, and then you might break fast within, say, an 8-hour window or a 6-hour window, depending on how much fasting time you want to do. If you are trying to do intermittent fasting, I always tell people, they say, oh, I can't go to bed hungry. Then I say, have something an hour before, or then maybe try 2 hours before. But the idea is to give your body a chance to recover so that it can eliminate any waste products, so that it can begin to process the food that's been consumed throughout the day, can begin the elimination process. Our bodies operate on something that's called a circadian rhythm. It's a 24-hour cycle. And so there are certain things the body does within that 24-hour cycle. And it's heavily linked to a particular hormone in our body, which is called cortisol. And one of the ways that we can determine if a person has too much inflammation in the body is that we will monitor the 24-hour cortisol, which can also be a marker of inflammation. So cortisol levels will change throughout the day. But the takeaway here tends to go down at night, less inflammation, less eating, more processing and eliminating of waste. It's also in Chinese medicine the time when the liver is active. It's also the time when we're at greatest risk for heart attack. All of that is what we want to think about when we think about optimal health. But so this cleanse, like I said, I'm probably 90% of my total caloric intake right now is vegan or is plant-based. It'll be 100%. I'm phasing out the animal products slowly. I am still doing some 1% dairy in my coffee in the morning, so I'm not 100%. But when that's done, I'm going to slowly switch into something like a healthy, low glycemic index, plant-based milk replacement. Anyway, so the idea here is to reduce calories, because I became overweight for the first time in my life during COVID. So I'm going to be doing calorie restriction and intermittent fasting, and have been. See how many hours I can do. If I can't do it, I can't do it. Sometimes I just get too hungry and I'll go and have a little applesauce or something like this, or a handful of soaked nuts. That's another trick you can do. But you try, you do the best you can. So here's a couple of the products that I've been using to make the process effective for me. When I do get up in the morning, I'll usually make my typical cup of coffee. Some things never change. I have been using coconut sugar and monk fruit, and also xylitol to reduce the glycemic index and the sugar content. But I also like to add a little bit of the coconut sugar. Sometimes I will blend it with monk fruit and xylitol just to give it a little bit of that caramel flavor in my coffee. So this is something you can pick up pretty much everywhere in the baking section. It usually doesn't run more than $4 or $5. Sometimes they have it on sale. And again, this has a glycemic index of something like 35-40 versus 100, which is what you would get with regular sugar. And so it's going to be a lot less damaging to your blood sugar. All right, the protein shake that I start my day off, when I'm ready to break my fast, I usually around 11 a.m. I'll make my protein shake. I'm using protein and greens. As a naturopathic doctor, people will often ask me, I don't work for this company, what I think is the most nutrient dense, just looking at the data. And from the data, just looking at the pure data, this is the most nutrient dense meal I've ever seen. It's got all the sprouted greens, chlorella, the spinach, the broccoli. It's got all the vegetables. It's also got the immune supportive mushrooms like the agaricus. These immune supportive mushrooms are associated with reduced risk for certain types of cancers. And those are also included in this. And there's some nice probiotic. There's some antioxidants, strawberries, berries, etc. And you also get your imperial adaptogens. So you get your reishi. These adaptogens are good for adrenal health. They are traditionally used in Chinese medicine to help reverse the aging process and to restore the life force. So there's some of that in there. Anyway, so when I looked at everything, I came to the conclusion that this was the best protein powder for me. 20 grams of protein, 24 servings of fruits and veggies with the power adaptive herbs, etc. So I make this in the morning. I usually put in about 1 to 1.5 scoops. And then I really like this product also. This is peanut butter powder. It has had the oil removed. Isn't that crazy? It's only 2% fat because they remove the peanut oil, I guess, in processing. This is the byproduct when they that they extract in the making of peanut oil. Well, this is delicious. And you can make yourself a peanut butter shake in the morning. I also like to add hemp hearts. I use oat milk, unsweetened oat milk, and a half a banana. And sometimes I put some chocolate powder in, some Hershey's Special Dark. And then I have myself a peanut butter chocolate protein milkshake in the morning. It usually gives me about 30 grams of protein. So I'm doing really good and really full. Also throw some ice cubes in there as well. So that takes care of me at 11 in terms of just raw foods. And then now I'm gonna break. I just had a peach. Was it a peach or a pear? I don't know. Anyway, so I'm trying to have as much raw. I think today I'll probably be done eating at 5 o'clock. My total caloric intake, I went to myfitnesspal.com. You might want to check out myfitnesspal.com so you can record your calories there. And yeah, most of what I'm eating is raw, just raw stuff. I'm not counting sugar in its whole form, and I don't think you should either, unless you're diabetic. But anyway, yeah, I got myself some nice organic bananas here for my smoothies today. I went to the store. I've also started to get really into, sorry, drop that. I've also gotten really into sprouting, and sprouting is something that you can think about doing. I'm just going to show this to you as well. Sprouting's going to help make raw foods easier to digest, and you can put that in your salad, particularly if you're worried about getting protein. This, for example, is some kasha that I soaked for 8 hours. And then it's going to sprout, and then you can pour boiling water over it if you want to and just soak it. And that's pretty much all you have to do. or some people will even do just hot water if they want it to be raw, and then you can put it in salads. It is not a grain, it is a seed, and it has an unbelievably low glycemic index. It's packed with minerals. Another thing I wanted to show you, you can learn how to sprout your beans so that they don't have the resistant starch that you may be struggling to digest. The better solution would be to simply soak them for 8 to 10 hours, rinse them in a colander a couple times a day, and then just leave them with a piece of cloth over them. And then again, in a couple of days when these sprout, you want to make sure you're rinsing them and keeping them clean. And you don't want it to be too hot. Basically, again, the resistant starch has been broken down when it sprouts, which makes it much more gentle on the body. And it's a living food. So I'm going to probably have a large salad. I'm going to probably make a dressing. There's a couple cool raw dressings we can add to that. And then I might do a raw tahini. One of the things that I also got was some raw tahini with lemon juice, a little salt, and a little bit of raw garlic. That's a nice thing to put on your salad or put on your kasha or whatever you're eating. Anyway, so that's what I'm up to. That is my diet. I'm eating 2 meals a day. My total caloric intake is now between 12 and 1400 kcal. I started a week and a half ago and I have lost 5 pounds already. So, and I'm not even 100% vegan. So, yeah, so that there are people that do this full time. I don't know about that, but I definitely think my body just wants to have all of its organs, everything functioning, and calorie restriction and clean, easy to digest foods. Ripe fruit is absolutely fine. It has a low glycemic index usually. Like an apple, for example, has a glycemic index of 20, which is actually lower than brown rice. So same with berries. Yeah, so I'm not really concerned about the sugar. Like I said, it burns very slowly in fruit. And it tends to be really good to add to the diet if you are someone who's having trouble with digestion. Anyway, so this is my first check-in with you. Week and a half, I started off at 182 pounds. I'm now 177 pounds. Yay! I am 90% plant-based, about 80% raw. Let's see where I'm at next week, but I'm moving towards the raw. I'm moving towards raw, and yeah, and intermittent fasting. So it's actually been fun. I actually have too much energy. I am getting enough calories, and I didn't know what to do with all the extra energy. So I've just been scrubbing my home and redoing the kitchen and making this video. All right, thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time. And I will leave the link to my iherbs.com account. It does help give a little money to the channel, and if you decide to check out my list of products that I like. All right, take care everyone. Bye-bye.